What's up, party people? This is Alex Waltz, and today we're gonna talk about JADE. JADE, it's a hardware wallet released by Blockstream at the beginning of the year. But by the way, this is something else, okay? First of all, this wallet doesn't have a secure element. It uses some kind of like blind server to substitute a secure element. You can even say it has a remote secure element. So I'm gonna explain to you how that works. I'm gonna explain to you what are the trade-offs for this model. And don't worry, it's not gonna get very technical. We're gonna do it at a very high level so you can understand what is actually happening under the hood. Another weird thing about the Blockstream products, at least the wallet products, is that if you ever use the Green app, you know very well that everything is a multi-signature transaction. So I'm gonna explain to you why this decision was made. I'm gonna explain to you how this is done, and we're also gonna see how this hardware wallet fits into this whole thing, right? We're also gonna use the wallet. We're gonna play around with it a bit. I'm gonna show you how to use it, and I'm gonna give my 2 cents and how good it is. And then we're gonna offer a conclusion, because at 40 bucks, this could be a pretty attractive option for a lot of people. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's get to the fake unboxing. This is how the wallet arrives. This is pretty good. The box had like some sort of like vacuum seal thing, which helps a bit, I guess, if someone tries to intercept this and try to switch it off with a new device. It also has some tamper-proof here seals, which, by the way, I'll be honest with you, like there's a lot of videos on YouTube showing you how easy it actually is to to go over this. So anyway, on the box here it says that it has Bluetooth Low Energy, which this should be pretty cool because cables are being a pain in the ass. If you do want to use a cable, it looks like it has the USB Type-C. It supports Liquid, of course, and it supports Bitcoin. Open source hardware wallet and software. Yes, that's very cool. They take a lot of pride in that. Advanced with Liquid network capabilities, camera, and full color display. Okay, that's pretty cool. What else does it say here? It says that it's built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. That's pretty cool. And don't trust, verify. Cool. So now, when you open the box, which I've also did before earlier, that's why it's a fake unboxing, you are gonna get some instruction manual here that's gonna tell you how to get started. That's okay, but I don't think we're gonna need this. You're also gonna get this paper where you can write it 24 words, which is also pretty good. We're gonna keep this. And then here we have the device itself. Let's take a look at it. So the device looks pretty cool. It's not that big actually. It has one button here. It has this navigation wheel, which is pretty sturdy, by the way. It has a camera. That's pretty cool because if you really want to use this air gap, you should be able to do so. And you have another button here, which is supposed to be like a power button or something. And what else do we have here? And a cable for it. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. Well, you don't get that much in the box, but I don't know what else do you need. Okay, you know what? Let's take a look how the JADE wallet compares to the main other hardware wallets. So over here, we have a cold card, a ledger, and a Trezor. Now, lengthwise, it seems to be the same size as the ledger and the Trezor, but if we put it on the side like this, definitely seems to be a bit more bulky than the last two, but doesn't compare with the cold card because this is like super fit. So I don't know, like when I look at all of them, I feel like JADE is the most compact. Now, another big difference is the way you navigate while you use the wallet. And obviously the cold card has the numpad, so that's pretty easy. Even though, I'll be honest with you, even if you do have the numpad, it's very uncomfortable to use if you ask me. I don't like the buttons. Even though this is still an improvement compared to the non-clicky ones. Anyway, the ledger just has these 2 buttons over here, and you go right and left, and when you want to like hit OK or enter, I guess, you just click both at the same time, which is pretty convenient. And the Trezor the same thing. And the JADE just has this wheel here, which feels pretty nice. Now, I see that you can also press the wheel here. Oh, well, there you go. This is how you navigate. Now, even though you can press the wheel, I feel it doesn't do anything when you press it, so you have to do something like this. Now, speaking of hardware, what actually is inside this thing? So inside the JADE wallet, it's actually an M5 custom stack. Now, what's an M5 stack? Well, an M5 stack is this. And pretty much what this is an ESP32 board that has a lot of peripherals. Now, what is ESP32? Well, this is an ESP32. And pretty much in this chip over here that has this metal encasing, which we can't look underneath. This is pretty much a very, very dumb computer. Like, I know it's crazy, like just in this thing that is, you know, as big as my fingertip, there's a whole computer that has like a CPU unit and a clock and everything. But it is, that's exactly what it is, and it works incredible. And the reason people made computers this small like this is because they want to use them for a lot of like Internet of Things applications. And you can see this thing is like really small, and it has a lot of pins, and you know, it has some other stuff here, and you can connect it to this, and you can do like a lot of things. Now, the M5 stack is a bit more advanced than this, and this one has a few more peripherals, right? And the whole idea with this is that actually let me just open it for you so you can see here. So the whole idea with this is that here's the computer, and it has a speaker, and it has some other things. It even has an SD card reader. And then you can take these modules, this module over here, this one seems to be a battery, and you just stack them on top of each other like this. Oops, 1 second. I'm not doing it right. You can stack them on top of each other like this, and you can get some pretty interesting applications. I have the Decoy browser wallet actually running on this one right now. That's made by my buddy Ben Ark, BTC Socialist. Shout out to him. Here's his Twitter. So anyway, so that's what actually what's running on this on the JADE wallet. Now I know what you're thinking right now. Why do I have an M5 stack here? Like, what was the point in that? Well, the thing is that when you're doing hardware wallets, the biggest problem with them is actually the supply chain attack, meaning that you can have the best hardware or software in the world, but you still have to send the device to your customer. And on your way to your customer, the device could get compromised in a lot of ways. And now if you would be like a bad person and you would try to somehow steal Bitcoins from people, this would also be the best way for you to do it, because it's the cheapest and requires, like, you know, the less technical knowledge. And, you know, someone could intercept your wallet on the way to your home, and you could add another chip on it. And let's be serious, even if you're an expert, you're still not gonna be able to tell what's happening there. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're all like, yeah, but what does this have to do with anything? Because the JADE thing, it's clearly a Bitcoin hardware wallet. So what if people are interested? Yes, that is true for the JADE itself. But what you can do, because this is built on the same thing, you can take the firmware from the JADE wallet and you can put it yourself on this general purpose computer. You can order this. Now, if you order this M5 stack, this is a general purpose computer, so you can use it for anything else. So it's a very low likelihood that someone is gonna intercept this and try to put some weird things on it. And by the way, here's a video of someone actually managing to do this, and they actually managed to run the JADE wallet on a general purpose computer. So that's a pretty neat thing. And as you notice in the box here, Blockstream was saying that their hardware and their software is open source. Now, here's the problem with having hardware fully open source. The thing is, like, and this has been like a battle between Trezor and Ledger and Coldcard for a long time. Now, the thing is that Trezor over here, they also cared about making everything open source. That means hardware and software. Now, there's a problem with these things called secure elements. Like, what is a secure element? Well, a secure element is like this tiny chip you put on your hardware wallet, and this chip is made in a way that you're gonna store some very sensitive information on it. And this chip is like soldered in such a way on the board that if you try to get physical access to it or something, like, everything resets, or it's supposed to be really, really hard for you to do this. Now, here's the catch with secure elements. Secure elements are made by a few companies. And these companies, the way they do the security in the secure elements is security by obscurity, which means that if you want to have a secure element on your board and you want to, you know, get access to all the libraries and everything and use it properly, you have to sign an NDA with them. So now you're going to end up signing an NDA with them, and you're going to ship to your customers something that's not open source. And again, a lot of people really cared about this. Now, this being said, this is an industry standard, and this is probably the best security you can get. Now, this being said, again, you also have to understand that this is meant to protect you from physical attacks, like if someone gets access to your hardware wallet. So the Trezor, because they also wanted to be fully open source, they had no secure element, and because of this, about, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, someone showed an exploit which you can just use a Raspberry Pi, and if you get access to someone's Trezor, you can extract the Bitcoins from here. And the way you can protect yourself with this is like you have to use a really big passphrase, which kind of beats the purpose. So ever since then, you know, people have been a bit when it comes to using a Trezor because it doesn't have a secure element. Now, on the other side, the cold card and the ledger, they both have secure elements. And they're both are, but as a result, they're not open. They're not fully open source. Now, this being said, I have to be honest, and I have to tell you that I know Rodolfo has been saying for a long time that, you know, this is the most secure hardware wallet and whatever, and he did an incredible job with it, by the way. But the MK2 version of the cold card wallet, even though it has a secure element, there has been shown that actually even this thing could be exploited. Now, truth be told, if you're like a malicious person and you want to extract some Bitcoins from an MK2 cold card, you need $100,000 worth of equipment, and you also have to be an expert. So this is not as easy as it sounds, but it's not as easy as it is on the Trezor, but it's still harder. So that's the whole idea with the secure elements. Other options, we have over here the Spectre, which the Spectre is also like a do-it-yourself hardware wallet. I know this looks kind of weird and kind of clunky, but this thing itself is a hardware wallet. And what this does, it has these cards here, which are pretty much the same thing as like the card you have in your bank. And they use these things as a secure element. So actually what happens is like when you plug this in here, this is one secure element and you're gonna get access to another wallet. And if you have a different one here, this is a different secure element. And the good part about this thing is that you can write your own things on this secure elements. But by the way, this is like a very special thing. This is like a do-it-yourself hardware wallet. This is definitely not for everyone. But I didn't want to mention this, that this is how this people went about the secure element. And this being said, by the way, the same thing happens with this secure element. You don't have, if you don't sign the NDA, you don't have access to all the libraries here. You just have to use the proprietary libraries from them. So that's the deal with secure elements. That's what's happening with secure elements. And Blockstream themselves, they also wanted to make sure that everything is open source. So this wallet also doesn't have a secure element. Okay, now even though the Trezor wallet is seen as the least secure out of all the current hardware wallets on the market, we have to give a big shout out to the Trezor team because they're the first people who put in an effort to build an open source secure element. And that's a pretty crazy thing, by the way. And I think they already have something working right now that's not out for the public, but this is probably gonna be out by the end of the year. And this is gonna be a huge game changer. And it's also very consistent with the whole cypherpunk ethos of Bitcoin. So huge shout out to them, and that's just an incredible thing to do. So after all this talk right now, I guess it should be pretty clear that a secure element is pretty important because it's supposed to make your device more secure in case someone gets physical access to it. But the big trade-off right now is gonna be, do you wanna have something that's closed source and it's gonna give you some security, or do you want something that's fully open source and that's fully auditable, and you just have to pick between the two? And Blockstream, they obviously pick the full open source route. So on the JADE wallet, there's no secure element here because if they would have had a secure element, they would have had to have some closed source code that would run on their device. So why did instead they said, like, you know what? Instead of having a secure element on the device, let's have a remote secure element. And I know this sounds kind of wacky, but let me explain to you how this actually works. So what ended up happening is that instead of having a secure element that's secure by soldering and whatever, they said we're just gonna have one somewhere on a server that's gonna be secured by encryption and a lot of things. So first thing, let's clarify what this thing does. This server enforces pin protection. If you don't give a correct pin 3 times in a row, the server is gonna delete all the information it has on the device. So which is pretty much the same thing that a secure element would do. Now, how is this done? When you create your mnemonic seed on the device is going to talk with the server and it's going to try to establish a secret, which is going to use afterwards this secret to encrypt your mnemonic seed. And the mnemonic seed is going to be stored somewhere on the encrypted flash and it's going to be secured by secure boot, which is pretty much the hardware mechanisms and software mechanisms that the M5 stack has by default. Now, let's get back to the server. So the server uses this thing called elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman key exchange, which pretty much means that it's using some pretty fancy math to establish a secret, even though some data could be out in the public. And this is pretty secure because this has been used since 1976, and you're probably using this at least a few tens of times a day if you use a computer. So this is a pretty solid thing. So now your device talks with the server, it established a secret, and now it's gonna use this secret to encrypt your mnemonic seed and it's gonna save it on your device. Every time you open your device needs to show to the server that it had the correct pin. If you don't have the correct pin 3 times, the device is gonna like erase everything on it, and the server is also gonna erase everything it has in the device. So pretty much, this is just a remote secure element. Now, I could understand how a lot of people might have a problem with this, because first of all, this is supposed to be a air-gapped hardware wallet. One way we get a lot of security from the hardware wallets is that they're not connected to the internet. And now here's this very sensitive operation you have that it's actually done via the internet. So I can understand why some people might be worried about this. But at the end of the day, this is just a different way of doing things, and it has different risk models. And when you are using a hardware wallet, you should probably be using more than one, and you be doing multisig. And when you are doing this, you want to have different hardware wallets with different risk models, because if something happened with one of them, you want to make sure you're hedging that risk somehow with a different risk. So keep that in mind. Now, if you want to use the JADE wallet with some software on your computer, you pretty much have only 2 options. The first one is the Blockstream GREEN app that is released by Blockstream. And recently, Spectre Wallet actually added support for the wallet. Now, let's talk a bit about Blockstream GREEN, because I think we need a lot of context here to understand what was the whole point of this app. The Blockstream wallet, which used to be called Green Address, is actually the wallet made by Lawrence Nahum, or as everyone knows him as Larry Blockstream. Well, that's how I know him. And he's a great guy, by the way. Got a chance to meet him in Miami. And turns out that actually he wanted to create the Firefox of Bitcoin wallets, which means that he wanted to create the Bitcoin wallet that everyone that's in the know uses. And if someone that has, their friend who's like in the know or who's like an expert, and they go like, hey, what wallet should I use? They would recommend you this wallet. So that was the plan with him. Now, the thing is that at some point, this was also like just a web wallet, which that's deprecated, that's not live anymore. But the point is that this was meant to be a mobile wallet. Now, your mobile wallet is like a whore of all devices. It connects everywhere. It's the most unsafest thing. So you should always presume that it's infected somehow. And because of this, how do you make a Bitcoin app secure on your mobile wallet? Well, one way to do it would be to make everything a multi-signature, and that's what it did. So in the Green wallet, by default, even if you don't do anything, all the transactions that you're gonna make, they're gonna be multi-signature transactions. Now, let's clarify a bit more. There are 2 types of accounts you can have in the Green app. The first one is a 2 out of 2 account, which means that actually you're gonna hold one key that's gonna be protected by the PIN. So after you insert the PIN, you can sign the transaction and everything. And then the other key is gonna be held on a Blockstream server. Now, this is not the same server we were talking about earlier. This is a server that protects your key by a 2-factor authentication. So meaning that you activate this 2-factor authentication, like with a Google Auth or something like this. And every time you have to make a transaction, you have to put in your PIN, and you also have to put in this 2-factor authentication. And when the server gets the right challenge response, then it's just gonna sign the transaction. Now, if you do not set up a 2-factor authentication, then the server is just gonna sign everything that the PIN signs. So the added benefit and security here is that you can add the 2nd-factor authentication. So in case like your phone is compromised or something, they would also have to compromise, I guess, your 2-factor authentication somehow. Which, when you think about it, if they have full access to your phone, they probably have access to that. But anyway, they probably don't have access to your phone and they just have anything else. So this is the first type of account. The second type of account is a 2 out of 3 account, which means that there's gonna be 3 keys here and 2 out of them need to sign. so the transactions goes forward. And the first key is gonna be, again, secured by on your device with the pin. The second one is gonna be the same way by a green server, secured by the 2FA. And the third one is gonna be a key you back up somewhere on paper. So now you have a few options here. You can send a transaction just with your own 2 keys that you own. You don't even need Blockstream for this. Or you can just use any of the keys and Blockstream in the Blockstream server. Now, this all sounds fine and dandy, but if the Blockstream server were to go down, it gets a bit tricky. Because if you would want to recover your funds now, because you have this additional security, guess what? You're going to have some complexity. So if you want to recover your funds and something happened with a server or something like that, then you're going to have to use this tool they have, which is called the gaRecovery, which stands for Green Address Recovery. Now, I will admit that this tool is very well documented and it explains everything very clearly, but I will admit that I wish I would never have to use it because it seems very complicated. Now, why is this complicated? Well, multiple reasons, but the first reason is that actually, in order to implement this constraints that you had on the blockchain, they use this thing called unlock time. Now, this unlock time thing is just some very low-level Bitcoin thing that actually says that you cannot spend any Bitcoins until a certain block height is reached. Now, because of this, if something happened with a Blockstream service or whatever, you needed to ask for a specific backup from the wallet, and you would have to get this via email. And this is how things were done for a long time until January this year, when on January this year, they started using something else. This other thing is called Check Sequence Verify, which is pretty much a different low-level thing that you can use, which in order to back it up, you don't need to get emails from the server. Now, this, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is something I never liked about the wallet, because this is pretty complex. And I also have to be honest with you that I met thousands of people at the meetups and during all these years. And I used to recommend this wallet to a lot of people, by the way. And I will tell that I never met one single person that ever used this backup function, first of all, and that ever used the two-factor authentication. So that being said, this is something I'm not a big fan of the app because it adds a lot of complexity and it's just hard to, like, if you have to use that tool, you're probably pretty much fucked if you're like a normal person or something like that. But that being said, I still think it's a good thing because they're a different wallet. They're addressing a different need. And this option is available. If you do want to use this option is available there for you. So kudos for that. Okay, so now let's try to set up the device, okay? So we have over here the device. Let's try to power it on. All right, now it's powering on. And now we have a few options. We have a sleep option. We have some settings here. The settings is like, when do I want it to time out? Now when I want to use this. And now here we have the Bluetooth. I'm actually gonna enable it because I just want to use it in the future. And then we have some info here about the thing. So first of all, we need to download Blockstream GREEN, and we have Blockstream GREEN right over here. Here it says under devices, we can already see we have one device. Let's make this a bit bigger. Let's click here. And apparently we can set up JADE for Liquid and for Bitcoin. You know what? Let's do it for Liquid first of all. Okay, so now as we did this, it says here new mnemonic will be generated. Okay, let's get a new one. And now I'm gonna get these words over here for the Liquid. And I'm gonna have to write them down. Okay, so now after I wrote down all the words here, it's actually asking me to verify them. So I'm gonna do that like, and this is how you do it. You just select them like this. Okay, so now after I put all the words here, it's asking me to choose a pin. I should have to select a pin. Now, I do want to say that the recovery sheet doesn't have any place here for the pin, so that's something I don't like. Like maybe you want to have like another pin place here. Let me just pick a pin then. Now it's pairing the pin. And now it seems like the device is ready. So now let's go to the wallet here. And as you can see here, I don't have any transactions. Now, let's try to go here. This is a test wallet I have. And let's try to send some liquid Bitcoin. Now, here's the thing you need to understand about how liquid assets work. So I have here some Tether, right? It says I have about 27 USDT worth of Tether. Now, in order for me to send Tether, the fees are not paid in Tether, they're paid in Bitcoin. So every time you make a transaction on Liquid, you need to have some liquid Bitcoin there. Anyway, I know this sounds pretty obvious and whatever, but for me, this was a bit confusing. So I want to receive the Bitcoins in my Jade wallet over here. So now I'm going to click receive here, and I can't see any address here at the moment. That's because I have to look here, and I have to check if this address is all right. Okay, no, wait. Now we're seeing the address. We're seeing if these addresses match. And the address ends with air on air, yes, and it ends with L70s, yes. Okay, so the address is matched. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so we're gonna copy this address here, and we're gonna try to send, I don't know, like, this is the amount. We're gonna send Tether, and we're just gonna send, like, I don't know, $3 or something like this. So let's say review testing Jade wallet, and let's try to click send. Oh, we didn't get any confirmation screens here or anything like that. Okay, let's get back to Jade. And now guess what? As you can see here in Jade, we have $3 here. Now there's a bit of a problem, because if I want to send this money out, I need to get some liquid Bitcoin here in order to do the transaction. So I'm also gonna have to try to receive some liquid Bitcoin. Let's see again if the transaction, if the addresses are the same. H1, yes, they're the same. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna go here. Oops, I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna send now to this address some liquid Bitcoin, and I'm just gonna go 0.001. Oh, that's too much. 0.5. Let's leave it at that. Review testing Jade L BTC. So we're gonna click send. There you go. Okay, so now we have here some liquid Bitcoin and some Bitcoins in here. So everything is fine. Now let's try to send some money out from the Jade wallet right now. And let's just send it back here to this wallet that I have. So I'm gonna have this address here. I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna go to the Jade. I'm gonna click send. I'm gonna paste the address. I'm gonna try to send some USDT, and I'm gonna send $1.5. So now let's go with review. Now I guess I could check the address, which is okay, whatever. Okay, let's add a note here, and then let's click send. And let's see what's happening now. Okay, now here we're asked to check if everything is fine. So I see the address is like scrolling around there, which I think that's pretty cool, but I wish I would have used this thing to scroll here and to look at the address. Now I can't double check the address because it's the same one, the same app, but we're gonna presume this is okay. Never do this, by the way. And we're just gonna click alright. Processing. Okay, we also can confirm the fee, which is, as we can see here in LBTC. Let's click send, and transaction was sent. So let's see that we got the money here. Yep, we're all good. We got 1.5 USD here. So as you can see, the wallet is pretty straightforward and works pretty fine. So now we have the wallet here, and if we were set up for Bitcoin, it would just be exactly the same thing. Okay, so this was it pretty much. And after using the wallet, you can see it was pretty straightforward to use. It was super easy to set up. Everything was pretty smooth. I would want to see, and Adam Back promised this, that you will be able to use single signature like a normal hardware wallet. So I can't wait for that. I also don't like the fact that, again, it's a bit too complicated to use a recovery tool, but I really like the fact that they're doing something different. I really like the fact that, you know, I'm getting some different risk profiles here, which that's what it's all about, by the way, when you're trying to secure your Bitcoins. And I also really like the fact that it's done by the people from Blockstream. And look, I know we talk about don't trust verify, but the truth is that you can't don't trust verify everything. You're gonna have to trust someone at some point. And if you're gonna trust someone, the reputations matters a lot. And specifically the people working on this app, they're like top notch. They really are, and they're really smart. So I want to give them a chance. Now, as I said, I wouldn't put all my money on this wallet. I still want to see what's happening. I still want it to be on the market for a bit. And anyway, I can't wait for version 2 because this is just version 1. But if you pay a bit of attention, you can really see how the Jade hardware wallet fits really well in your whole ecosystem with the Liquid and whatever. So if you're a big Liquid user and whatever, this might be a good improvement for you because this is definitely going to be way better than just using the mobile app, you know? So keep all these things into mind. Anyway, this was it. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on raw_avocado. Don't forget to face fuck the like button, sodomize the subscribe button. And until next time, motherfuckers, don't forget to keep slinging dick. Alex Waltz out.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.